All right, what is going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Anti-Oki Podcast, literally the most inconsistent podcast in the history of podcasts on the internet, and somehow we still seem to get awesome guests. I don't know how we do that, but we can get it together if we have somebody else come on the show. I think that's the deal, because if it's just us, then it's like, well, we'll do it whenever, you know?
Forget that. Literally me.
But as you guys all know, I am MisterBehavior, and he is Ceelows, and we have a guest today. And she is a wife, and a Hoppian, and a cosplayer, and just an all-around super cool person that I have personally grown to really like a lot. We have Mack and Liberty, aka Kenziepuff. Say hello.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome. Yes, the most inconsistent podcast. We have a lot to talk about. We haven't done one of these in a while.
Yes. So we're kind of like all over the place. We usually just kind of like stick in one realm, and then we kind of like, see how the conversation flows. But now we have a woman on, guys, so we can't be too crazy.
Yes.
But okay, so for the benefit of like folks who are just tuning in to us, who might not know you, just go ahead and give us kind of a rundown on yourself, who you are, how you got here, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, so a lot of people probably don't know what a Hoppian is. I'm a libertarian, but not a cringy Gary Johnson libertarian. No offense to anybody. A based one. So I'm definitely more like conservative socially, even though I'm a libertarian, which is kind of controversial. But I also do cosplay, mostly anime, but I've done a few comic characters and like video game characters too, like Samus and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I got into those around the same time. So I've pretty much been cosplaying and doing political commentary, or whatever you want to call it, and YouTubing since around 2015, 2016. So that's me.
Yeah, okay. So just to break down like the Hoppian thing, like educate me for a second. What is a Hoppian?
So I'm an anarcho-capitalist. That's a scary word for a lot of people. And the reason I call myself a Hoppian is because Hans Hermann Hoppe is on my shirt. I oddly enough wore this shirt today.
Nice.
Actually, two of these people, Rothbard and Hoppe, they're on my sweatshirt, are anarcho-capitalist, and specifically with Hans Hermann Hoppe, his thing is covenant communities. So his ideal society is people living in little local communities and governing themselves instead of having big states or a federal government telling a bunch of people with completely different cultures, especially in the United States, what to do. To them, it makes more sense to make things as local as possible and to have a freer society that way. Obviously, that comes with free markets and things like that, which is very libertarian. But that's really kind of the baby version of what it is.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds pretty reasonable. I can't imagine why anybody would be mad at you for that.
Well, also, with Hoppe especially, Rothbard somewhat, these are the guys that are probably most known in anarcho-capitalist circles, at least my circles. They are definitely more socially conservative. Like I mentioned, I am. As much as I hate the word conservative, because that comes with sorts of baggage.
Yeah.
That's just like the normie way to say it. They have more traditional values.
Yeah,
I guess you can say it that way too. So a lot of people don't like that, obviously, because mainstream culture is very left-wing. So that's honestly where most of the controversy comes from. It's not even from, hey, we want to get rid of the state. It comes from, wait a minute, you're not a crazy lefty socially? Yeah. Oh no.
Well, so I mean, I think you're probably right about that, right? Because there's a ton of people who would be considered maybe like, I guess, like anarcho-communists, I guess they call themselves, which would be like the crazy lefties who want to get rid of the state. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I agree. I probably agree. I mean, you know that we know each other. I agree with you more than I would agree with them. Obviously, I don't agree with them at all. But it's like, I think that a lot of people, they assume like, oh, you hate the state, so then we're friends, right? And it's like, no, I don't.
That's why I don't. A lot of people just like to use the term just anarchist with
for sure.
descriptors. The reason I use anarcho-capitalist is because people see the word capitalist and they have some emotional reactions to it that actually benefit me.
Right.
Because if somebody sees the word capitalist and they don't want to be around me, that's fine. They don't need to be around me.
Yeah.
But I don't want to just use anarchists and then have all these like left-wing people. And then I talk about my social views and they're like, whoa, okay, fascist. Like, whoa, you don't want kids on hormones? What's wrong with you?
Oh,
like,
man.
That's not me. So.
Oh, man. Yeah, the whole... Yeah, I mean, that the problem is that the what do they call it? The Overton window has shifted so much that, like, yeah, it's a point where I don't want kids to be, I don't know, deciding what their gender is at, like, 5 years old. I actually don't even really agree with the concept of gender. Like, I think that, like, words are gendered, people aren't. That's kind of how I feel about it, right? Like, we have, you know, male and female and whatever. But, like, it's gone so far that you say something like that, like, oh, I don't want kids on hormones, and it's like, you're the evil one, which I don't...
Right,
does that make sense?
Like that, to me, that shouldn't be controversial for
Right.
anyone. And for a long time, that kind of stuff is what, you know, boomer cons would say about left-wing people to make people think they were crazy. And now we're so far down the
Right.
pipeline, they actually do think that. A lot of them just do think that's acceptable. So it's just crazy how much the Overton window has shifted to where if you're just worried about children, you're a conservative, which is kind of insane. It doesn't make any sense, to be honest, but whatever.
I mean, I think it was... This was, like, slightly after the last time we had one of these talks. I got told that I was... evil, crazy, stupid, and insensitive for not agreeing with, like, I think it was like Dwayne Wade had just come out and said, like, that his son is his daughter or something.
Yeah.
And I made a video on that. And, like, my fiance's, like, ex-brother-in-law saw it or something like that and literally called her and was like, he's a crazy, stupid transphobe. You can't be with this guy. And she's just like, so he's concerned about children and you're mad. That kind of says a lot about, like, where our culture has gone. And it's really kind of disturbing, to be completely honest with you.
I just kind of concluded that all these people are being dishonest, and it's intentionally dishonest. Like, none of the conversation is genuine. These people are all very ideologically driven. They're all, like, driven by, like, I want to be liked by my friends, and so I have to push this thing. It's like they've lost all sense of what is true, what is objectively moral, like, completely. So I don't even entertain these people anymore. Like, I just know where it is at this point, and now it's just like sometimes you gotta tell these people to fuck off. Like, I don't debate with these people anymore. It's just a waste of time. Like.
Yeah, that's definitely where I'm at, too. It's actually a reason why I started calling myself Hoppian instead of just libertarian or even anarcho-capitalist or ANCAP, because a lot of people see Hoppian and they know immediately I'm socially conservative and they know they don't agree with me and they just
leave you alone.
They either leave me alone or they have a freak out and boop, I just block them. Like, there is no point in having a conversation with people like this. And I mean, that is why you're right. That's why most people just go along with it because they're too afraid to talk about it. But I think that's why, like, podcasts like this, where you guys talk about normal things in addition to just all the crazy stuff in the world, are important because a lot of people feel like this. They might not openly talk about it, but you know, in all subcultures, there are people going, okay, guys, I get we should be generally nice to people, but you guys are crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you should not be canceling people for not wanting boys in dresses if you don't want to be, clearly.
Right.
So, yeah, it's craziness.
Well, that's exactly why we started this, because Ceelows and I are both, like, you know, we're into fighting games, as we talked about before we hopped on here, like, and we noticed, like, the fighting game community has gotten so ridiculous, but there are people within the fighting game community that think like we do. And so we're like, yo, we have to, like, start something so that people know that not every person who plays fighting games is a crazy. Yeah, like, we're not all crazy leftists, you know what I mean? And, like, so, no, 100%. Ceelows, you said something that I want to go back to just for a second. You said that you think that, like, people are kind of, like, being pushed along by they don't really actually believe in these things, and so I've been reading this book, and I don't know if either of you guys heard about this. It's called The God Who Is There, and it's by this guy named Francis Schaeffer. Basically, that's his entire argument, right? Is that, like, really what happened. Well, he calls it about like he calls this thing like the basically the pit of despair, I believe. And he basically goes into like all of these. This book was written in like 1968, and he basically says that like the way that we've gotten as a society has started by slowly chipping away at like the morals and like all of these different like these different subcultures. So like it started, you know, sort of like with like art, and then with music, and then goes all the way like down to like theology. And what happens is like people were so like convinced that they can kind of like encompass all these things, but also just kind of like going along with like whatever they think is whatever they think is true, and like not really having like an objective source of that. And so like one person, it's kind of like it infects like the entire herd, right? So it's like one person comes in and they're like, you know, objectivity is like not real, and then everybody goes, there's another next guy goes, oh, objectivity, you know, this guy said that actually sounds kind of good, and then like it spreads around. And I've just like started this, but it's this book, but it sort of encompasses like that thought a little bit, right? Where it's like, and I think it's a little bit, I think you're definitely right about what you're saying, and it becomes like sort of scary in terms of like how those kind of weird ideas spread across like different mediums, and even like what we see like happening where people like, what's that I wanted to talk to you about, this is like with the whole I stand with Ukraine thing, how that kind of like just spread. Like somebody said a thing, somebody showed you a thing, and then said, you know, and then that became like the narrative that everybody just decides to kind of go with. That, I'm rambling a little bit, but I hope you understand my point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
like a, you know, go ahead.
yeah, definitely. In online circles, there's an ongoing joke that more people who like Hans Hermann Hoppe, our favorite word is subversion. Because that's what it is. It's a bunch of people, usually a minority of people. It's not a lot of people at first who have these crazy opinions. And at first people kind of look at them sideways, but then they might start thinking about it going, you know, we should be nice. Like we should just kick them out just because they have a few crazy ideas, right? Which seems reasonable.
Right.
And then more and more of those people come in. You can apply this to anything, whether it's cultural stuff or political stuff. And then all of a sudden you're the minority going, hey, wait a minute, I don't think that's cool. Why? How did this get into my video game hobby? How did this get into my fighting game hobby? How did this happen? So, and that's where we're at right now. So that's exactly what's happened, basically. So that's really interesting. I'll have to check that book out.
No, it's pretty. I think you'd like it a lot, actually. But okay, so that goes into our main topic, I guess. I know we have a couple of main topics, but so. There's a war going on over in Ukraine and Russia. Or you went like this. So we know how you feel about it. We haven't talked about this, but
yeah, we haven't.
So the reason I want to bring it up is because it is infecting video games and entertainment and all these kinds of things. Because, okay. So if you've not, you know, known about this, you've been living on the rock for the past like week and a half or so, Russia decided that they were going to invade Ukraine, I think they're in the eastern region of Ukraine right now, and everybody's mad about it on the internet, because propaganda is telling us that, you know, Russia is bombing people indiscriminately and all that kind of stuff, and we're probably going to get kicked off of YouTube for talking about this, so just whatever. But so that, you know, that happens. There's war. That sucks. You know, whatever. For context, though, this conflict has been happening in Ukraine for the past, like, almost a decade. So the fact that, like, this is coming out to a head now, and that all of these companies, like for example, I was talking to you guys about Netflix decided that they're going to stop streaming in Russia. Nintendo just came out today and said that they're not going to release their Advance Wars game on April 8th like they planned, because I guess like the main villain is like supposed to be like a Russian style entity that like invades a country, and I guess that they think that it's insensitive or something like that. Mind you, before we go deeper on that, the original Advance Wars that was released on the Game Boy Advance actually came out the day before September 11th, and it did. And they didn't release it in Europe and Japan after that for another like 2 years. So we might not see Advance Wars Reboot Camp for a while, it looks like. And my vote is they just cancel the game because it's obviously insensitive. But so all of these things are happening where all these companies are trying to take stance. I think Visa and MasterCard also like, and Amex also stopped servicing Russia. And I don't know. What do you guys make of this? Like, my position here is that this is just going to escalate conflict. This is actually not going to make anything better. But somebody did tell me that they think that a lot of these companies, especially the American companies, are trying to prepare for it in case there's some kind of a hot conflict with Russia. Because if that was the case, we would have to like stop servicing those countries due to some federal regulations around that. Like, for example, we stopped in the World War II. They stopped selling Ford cars over in Germany, for example. So that was sort of the take that I got was like, maybe these companies are preparing for hot conflict. My position is that they're just performing. What do you guys think?
I'll let Kenzie go first.
She's not. She can't talk right now. Oh, you got a puppy!
Oh, cutie.
She's scratching. So she's the quiet one, so it's fine. I actually think it's ideologically driven completely. I actually don't think it. I think that's probably the cover. Like, oh, we're just doing this just in case.
Yeah.
And what's the most sad thing about it is, one, this has been going on for hundreds of years.
Oh yeah, true.
There's so much history between Eastern Europe in general, not just the Ukraine.
Yeah.
And Russia, that it's insane, and it's driving me crazy seeing all these talking heads, with all their opinions. Who I go, you don't act like you knew where that was on a map.
Right, facts though.
This week, and my friend works at a cupcake shop in Arkansas, and she's like, my 17-year-old coworker is trying to talk to me about the Ukraine. What the hell does she know about? You don't know anything about this. Nobody knows anything about this. I have a friend whose wife is Ukrainian who lives in my area that I know from Twitter, and I feel so bad because he actually knows about the history of the Ukraine, and he's watching all these terrible takes on all sides. And then you have these right-wingers on Twitter going, Putin's so based, guys. And I'm like, okay, first of all, he's an ex-KGB agent.
Yep.
Calm down.
Yeah, that's true.
There's no such thing as an X1. Let's just get that out of the way.
That's also true.
You cannot make me pick between two commie sides, and it has nothing to do with the civilians. You can't make me choose between two communists.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
I think, but back to the MasterCard and that the shutting off services, it's 100% ideological. And actually, it's already been happening in the United States for years now.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what a lot of people don't know. Like of, I would call them maybe not as kosher content creators on YouTube and stuff. People have been stopped from banking. Chase Bank banned a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And that was like back in like 2016.
Yeah.
So this stuff has been going on for a really long time. I just think it's really unfortunate that, both in the Ukraine and Russia, it's the citizens that are suffering over these stupid these leaders who clearly don't have their best interest or just don't care. And the United States is, of course, attempting to get into the middle of it, which is just going to be a nightmare. Yeah. And then we're going to suffer as well. So it's just absolutely, it's ridiculous. And I wish people would honestly, I just wish people would shut up. And like me being a cosplayer, for example, of course, I'm like, I just cannot go on Instagram until this whole thing is over.
Yeah.
Kind of like when some other social things were happening.
Yeah.
Like now, instead of black squares, it's yellow and blue squares on my Instagram.
Wait, are you serious? They're really doing it? I haven't been on Instagram in a while.
Yes. Oh, it's so bad. They're all posting on their Instagram stories.
Oh my God.
Give to this. And I'm like, first of all, don't act like you care. I know your programming chip just got updated, but like...
updating. They got a new firmware update.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's just so ridiculous. Only one who I do feel for, I do follow... cosplay is actually really big in Russia, and a lot of really good cosplayers are from just Eastern Europe in general, too. Mm-hmm. So I have seen... There's a wig maker who does amazing cosplay wigs that I follow. She can't operate her business right now in Russia because MasterCard, PayPal, everything shut down. That's how she makes money. She now has no way to make money because she was counting on PayPal and MasterCard services. And then I have a Ukrainian cosplayer that I didn't even know she was Ukrainian until all this went down. And she's posting videos about how she had to leave her husband behind. She's in Poland right now. It's terrible.
No.
And I just feel like everybody forgets when they're talking about it. There are real people that are suffering. Not to sound like, get on my soapbox, but
you sound like a leftist.
I think it's gross I think it's gross that leftists get on their soapbox and act like you care. And it's like, you have no idea what these people are going through actually, because here in the US, we're lucky enough when we're in a war, it might affect prices, but it doesn't affect us personally.
Right.
We see it on the news, but we are not a country that has to deal with bombs getting dropped, anything close to that. We've never had to evacuate anywhere, unless you're from another country and you came here, I guess. But, Americans I don't think we have a concept, and war is almost like a plaything to us, literally, with our...
No, you're right.
With our presidents, multiple of them.
Yeah.
It's like we just think we're the chess players and my opinion matters. No, your opinion as American doesn't matter. The only thing you need to do is stay out of it, to be honest. And I hate to see all these people falling for propaganda of, we have to go help them. I go, no, the best way you can help them is maybe give your money to a good charity and stay away. That's going to help them more than, let them figure it out. I know it's kind of callous to say.
I agree. I completely agree with you. Your take when you said, in America, we don't really have to worry about hot conflict on our soil. It's true. You know what I mean? But we're trying to pretend like we have the answer to these kinds of things. And it's like, when was the last time that we had to deal with anything like that?
Right.
As a country.
Most Americans are not in the military, but I know for a lot of veterans that I know, both online and real life, just seeing people kind of joke about it in a LARPing way, if I could, I would go over there. It's like, no, you wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't. Yeah.
War. You don't know what it's like. You don't know how devastating it is to see people die in front of you. Shut up. All the veterans I know are pissed. They're like, we don't want to get involved in this. We saw how things were in, Iraq and Afghanistan. I don't want to go over there and die. And you see UFC fighter, that Bryce Mitchell, basically saying that same thing, and he's getting attacked by a bunch of journalists just for saying, if it came here, I'll die for America, but I'm not going to die for them. I feel for them. I hope that they stave it off if they can, but it's none of my business at all.
Facts.
Yeah, sorry for the rant.
No, you're good. Ceelows.
I muted all those words basically on Twitter.
What, Ukraine and Paris and stuff? Ukraine and Russia, sorry.
I've muted Ukraine, Russia, Putin, Zelensky, that president, Everett Putler. Apparently that's a thing. Putler, I guess they're calling it.
Putler? Is that like a Hitler thing?
Yeah, of course.
Oh my God.
Of course. So yeah, I muted all of that on Twitter. I go, I don't want to see it. I've been staying off Instagram because of the stupid virtue signaling. It's very annoying to me. That's why when you said we were going to talk about it, Jay, I was like...
Oh, you're like, oh, no. No, but I wanted to get your take because, first of all, I haven't talked to you. I haven't talked to you in, this kind of way in a while. We've just been, on Twitter, twittering at each other. But also, because it's... I mean, we haven't had a conversation about it, myself and Ceelows, which, by the way... Ceelows, what do you think? I don't know where this drum kit came from. Ceelows, what do you think about this?
I have a lot of the same sentiment that Kenzie does, but I'm kind of on the side of just dude, everything is fake and gay. Everything is just. There is you know what I thought about? You know what this has made me think about? I never really thought about what would a world war in social media times look like, and we're seeing it in real time. These verified accounts just spreading videos and imagery from 5 years ago. In different locations and just changing the story to something else. There was a story about this is a Ukrainian father leaving his children behind. It's actually a Russian who's born to invade Ukraine. And then some bombing of a building that apparently Russia's doing. It was apparently some explosion in China 5 years ago. Everything is fake. I don't believe shit. I have to question everything. And I read some story the other day, I think on the Blaze, that some of these news outlets, even conservative ones, are paid to spread
man,
vaccine propaganda. I don't trust anything anymore. So but my whole thing with this is, correct me if I'm wrong, this current government that Ukraine has, is that even legitimate in the first place? Wasn't that guy installed?
He was installed by the United States.
He wasn't installed by the United States. So this is kind of my thing. It's kind of everybody's bad in this.
That guy's an
the United
actor.
States, I don't trust my own government. I don't think anyone should trust like a government where they're led by an really a KGB guy. And then the Ukrainian government was just told by us, like everybody, no one's good in this.
Well, right.
Like, I don't have a reason to like have any emotional investment.
Yeah.
The only thing I sympathize is really what Kenzie said. Everybody who doesn't want to be a part of this. Russians don't want to be part of this. Ukrainians don't want to be part of this. It's just kind of it's like brought upon them by just governments just fucking around with war. It's just like, but the main thing for me is just, man, there are so many people falling for propaganda. It is crazy. It's like scary how this is happening. It's like, the more this happens, because this is going to get worse. I don't see this getting any better in terms of like fake propaganda everywhere. Because we're in the age of social media where just anyone could just tweet something and then it gets 500,000 views in 2 hours and everyone believes it. And it's like, I think really what everyone's got to do, I've kind of been telling my family too, just like, don't believe anything. Just take a pause, go live your life, just ignore this shit for now. Because largely, I think this is really a distraction. I mean, I like how the COVID conversations kind of disappeared off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
Like, I don't buy that. I think a lot of this, like, suddenly we just shifted what's important to us now, and it's just like I'm not gonna let these people do that to me. I'm still gonna, live my life the way I want to. I mean, I like basically my story is I was living in New York and I got fired from my job because I didn't want to take it back, so I just skipped the country. Like by myself, and like I'm just I'm on this very rebellious state in my life where like I'm just not gonna listen to anybody. I'm just like fuck everybody right now. And so I see this, and just like, man, everyone's just falling for this. Even conservatives too. I'm just like, you guys, come on, like, don't you see what they're doing? It's just like I don't believe anything anymore. It's kind of, I don't know. It's kind of how I am about this shit.
It's been really interesting because I do know, like I said, one of my friend's wives is Ukrainian, and she's said for years they don't like Zelensky there. Most people, they view him as kind of like a laughable character, and he's not well liked. So then to see all the propaganda coming out of the West, like he's their savior, they love him, look how brave he is, and then all the Ukrainians I know are like, no, we hate him.
Well,
wasn't it not a good leader? We all know was just installed.
Wasn't it because he basically is like a puppet to get them to like work with like NATO and the EU and all that kind of stuff? Like, so I was looking at a thing that basically said that Yanukovych was like, I guess 2 presidents before him was the guy who was like saying, no, we don't want to mess with the EU at all, and then they impeached him, and then they put in like Poroshenko or whatever, and like then they put in what's this guy's name, Zelensky. So I was looking like a rough time. I know a little bit about this. I'm trying to learn more, but that's what I understand.
Basically, all anybody needs to know is there's a lot of shifty stuff going on. And like Ceelows kind of said, it's been really disappointing to see right-wingers, conservatives, just in general, fall so easily. It's like, well, the left wing is for Ukraine. So
we're going to, right.
I'm for Russia. And it's like, how easily manipulated are you?
Yeah, for sure.
That's what they do. They say this thing is good. And then, look, you're supporting something that's bad just because they win either way in that instance. So my friend whose wife is Ukrainian, he sent this to a group chat today, and it's really great. It was basically saying it's wrong when the West invades countries. It's wrong when the West is globalist and tries to take over all these people. It's good for the West when they revolt against tyranny and all this. And he goes, if you flip that to East, meaning like Russia, suddenly conservatives are like clapping like, oh yes. Right. It's the same thing. It's Eastern globalism versus Western globalism, and you're being conned into potentially, even if it's in a memey way, I'm not going to, in a memey way, support any kind of globalism or communism or anything like that. I don't care who it is. So it's been really sad to see people on both sides fall for all kinds of propaganda. And then kind of like Ceelows mentioned, there's been so many fake videos.
Right.
So many fake,
I got one up right now.
Stories and things like that have gone around. It's just, it's almost disgusting, but it's also kind of amazing to watch.
Yeah.
Just how quickly they can flip the switch from one thing that absorbed our lives for 2.5 years to, we're on this now. I'm sorry, you couldn't see your grandma before she died in the nursing home? That sucks. You're supposed to care about the Ukraine now. Excuse you? No. So, and I actually do think how, maybe not with the people that are totally absorbed with it, But a lot of the people that were kind of already catching on, like, hey, wait a minute, they've been changing their mind about all this stuff. I think a lot of people are catching on, like, why aren't we talking about that anymore? This is kind of weird and suspicious.
Yeah, I mean, I think speaking of like some of the fake stuff, I and I don't even know how to believe this. Like, if I can believe this, this is from USA Today. I'm just gonna put this up here right now. I know, right? But no, but the funny part about this is if you see, I'll share the screen so you guys can see.
Yeah, I see it.
So it says, fact check, fighter jet clip from video game, not a Russian invasion of Ukraine. This is from the 7th.
Yeah, I remember this.
So I guess there was a clip that was showing like a Ukrainian Air Force shooting down Russian jets or something like that. And apparently it was from a video game or something like that. And now here's the thing. This is USA Today saying this. So now I don't know if this is fake or this, you know what I mean? Like, if was the video fake or what are they saying is fake? Like, what? I don't even know. So, I mean, I know that, like, I was talking to my lady about this yesterday, and I was like, there probably are no good guys in this situation. Just,
no. That's
really what it is. And in my position is, I think that what's happening over there is, honestly, I think that it's a psyop to get us to blame all of the inflating gas prices and inflation on a Russian entity, so that the United States citizens can go, Russia, you're so bad, rah, you're making me pay money for gas, even though we're already, like, my gas already doubled in the past, like, year since the guy got in the office, since Brandon got in the office, you know what I'm saying? So, like,
yeah, pretty much.
You know what I mean? So, like, and I watched it go up, like, overnight the other day too, and like literally overnight. It's not even a joke. And and so that's what I think because I was talking to somebody about this, and they're like, oh, well, you don't care about, like, you know, what's going on over there. I said, look, man, have you paid attention? This guy came into office and within the first, like, 100 days shut down the Keystone Pipeline, and then our gas starts going up, and then this happens. While, by the way, we have been buying gas from Russia, buying oil from Russia for decades, and even, like, from what I understand, like, the amount has doubled over the past, like, year or something like that. And now we're gonna sanction, stop buying gas from Russia or whatever, so that you think that that's why your gas is going up. But not only that, basically, if we're buying stuff from them, we're funding what is going on over there. So like, how are you gonna, like, none of it makes sense. Yeah, none of it makes any sense. You know what I mean? I'm just, like, so confused why, like, I told somebody the other day, it's like, I can't take a side either way, man. Like, I'm just, like, I'm here, I'm chilling. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not about to, like, Russia's probably fucked up, Ukraine's fucked up, the US is fucked up, like, whatever, it's all fucked up.
I had someone tell me, just for an example of, we always, at least I always dunk on left-wingers.
Yeah.
I won't speak for you guys, but...
I mean, you know me.
A right-winger, alleged right-winger, I'll say. Not sure how much I believe that. The other
Fair
day,
enough.
he told me that if I didn't support either side in this, because both countries are white, that means I'm anti-white. And I'm, like, looking at myself like, do you see me?
What? That doesn't make sense.
I don't think it's a right winger.
It was the guy just basically being like, because I said, listen, I don't care. And I didn't mean that. Like said. I don't mean that like, I don't care as in I don't feel for anyone in the situation. Right. I could give two shits about any of the governments. It's the people of all these countries, us included, with inflation and all this crazy insane stuff that's going on. I feel bad for us. Yeah. I don't feel bad for politicians or whatever dealing with it. You made your bed, lie in it. Right. And he was like, well, you know, no more brother wars. They shouldn't be fighting, blah, 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 blah. I go, what would you like me to do? Yeah. Right. You want me to go over there and just be like, hey, guys, we should really calm down because both of you guys are white and, like, we really shouldn't be fighting. But yeah, okay. Wait
a second, though. I was talking to somebody about this. White, what does that really mean in terms of, we're talking about Eastern Europeans, right? Like, I was talking about somebody this in Discord recently. It's like, when it comes to, like, because we started talking about, like how Jewish is not a religion, it's a race, and then Judaism is the religion, and we started talking about race and what that means and all this kind of stuff. And we started talking about, like, how prior to, like the US, basically, it was like your race was you're Spanish or you're French or you're Russian or you're whatever. So it's
Your
like
nationality, basically,
right,
is what was important.
Right, exactly. So it's like, what does that even mean? If you're talking about like, oh, we're both white, we shouldn't be. It's like, no. These motherfuckers are Ukrainian. These motherfuckers are Russian. Ukraine said, you know what?
And they hate each other.
Right.
They do. If you ever actually call Ukrainian or Russian, they will go apeshit.
Yeah,
on you.
right.
They
Absolutely.
do not appreciate it.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? The Ukrainian government's over there like, yo, you better not be speaking Russian over here, you motherfucker. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they don't care about any of that. So that's a really weird stance. But I'll tell you.
Really weird.
I'll tell you what is gonna save us, you guys. Apparently, what's gonna save us is a protest. So a good old fashioned protest.
Oh no. You're gonna make me look at this again?
Yeah. This is what's gonna save us, you guys. This is what's gonna save us. It's an old fashioned French protest, topless protest. So that's what they need over there. Just, have them go over there and take their tops off and something.
Look at all the mental illness.
Look at all the mental illness.
They were speaking in English, and it's written in English too. I
don't
know if you guys noticed that.
Well,
so
in the back they have French too.
This is like a propaganda thing, because like all of their chants they were saying in English. It's like, you're French. Why are you? Would you not be speaking to French people? It's because they want to reach as many people as possible.
Right.
It's like, what's crazy?
All right, I won't subject you guys to more of that. But that's
like, I see that, I'm just like, it's probably a green screen in the back. It's not even in France. Like that's what my mind.
Yeah, that's what you think.
It's so fucking fake.
Well, so okay, the reason I wanted to show you that is because first of all, you said your friends. You were like, well, what do you want me to do? Go over there? I'm like, well, obviously they're doing something. But also, okay, you're a woman, right? So
correct. Unfortunately.
So then let me just unfortunately. So let me just ask you, what the fuck was that? Like, what do they think? What do they think is gonna happen? Why do they always take their tops off? What is going on? I don't understand.
They always get naked. That's what Rollo Tomas.
Right. They do. He's right.
They always get naked. We've seen that. I don't know if you guys remember. There was like a really famous, hilarious picture from one of the protests.
Okay.
For Black Lives Matter, of this white woman completely buck-ass naked in the middle of the street doing the splits in front of.
I remember that.
Waving her arms around.
Yep.
Thank God it was a back view, not a front view. But I'm what are you doing? I don't understand. It's because that's how women get attention, basically.
Yeah, mental illness. I mean,
you mean this one?
I don't know. I don't know what else. Yeah, that's the picture.
That's the one.
There it is.
That's the one. Yeah. I don't understand. I mean, you're right. I guess that's how they get attention. But like, I guess I'm just confused because. Isn't the whole like okay? Let me just.
Now we're getting into.
I'm just yeah. So feminism, right? That's a thing. So these women, right, would most likely. I mean, I would guess that they would most likely identify themselves as feminists, at least like from the video that we saw in France. Supposedly, apparently, it's a green screen according to Ceelows. The video that we just saw, they had like on their arms written like feminists for Ukraine and all this kind of stuff. Now, how does showing your naked body equate to a feminist agenda according to, and maybe I'm talking to the wrong female here, but I'm just curious if you have any insight as to like how those two ideas are connected, because I am just confused. I don't understand it.
So on some level of consciousness, whether they admit it or not, all women on some level know that the agency that we have is a sexual agency in nature. Like women have the children, just like normal examples. Women have the children. Women get to say if a guy comes up to them, you're being creepy, or, ooh, okay, I like you.
Yeah,
okay,
for sure.
Let's go. Women are the gatekeepers of that sort of thing. And so to a certain extent, they know, even feminists on a certain level, if I want to show my agency and show how important I am as a woman, I need to embrace my sexuality on some level. And this is why we see these reflexive, I'll just take my top off and like put pasties on. Sometimes I don't put pasties on.
Yeah.
They just be out there freeballing it, I guess. But well, free titting.
Free titting it.
Free ball. Hopefully, it's not free balling with food.
Well, you never know. It's 2022. You know, they could be free balling also.
True.
It's a female penis.
Yeah. Oh God. But a lot of women, or all women, I believe, on a certain level, know that is an easy way to get attention. I'm not saying they'll always do that. I could get a lot more attention on the internet if I got more naked.
I'm sure, yeah.
That right now. That's just a given.
Yeah.
You don't even have to be cute.
That's true.
True. Even those women, look,
Yeah.
you got everybody's attention. We're talking about it, whether you thought they were attractive or not. I personally didn't think so, but though I don't know, a lot of them were skinny, so they've got that going for them.
There was like one in there that I thought was kind of cute.
Yeah, there was like one or two in there.
Yeah.
They're like, okay.
But it's usually the ones that get involved in that stuff usually are not.
Usually not.
Yeah.
Well, then even if they are attractive, you're like, okay, this is questionable.
Yeah, true. Yeah, right. Yeah.
I think all women on some level know that, and even feminists know that. Feminists know that sexuality and being a female is extremely important. That's why they're out here protesting for reproductive rights, as they call them, and all this kind of stuff. That has to do with sex.
I love how we both did that at the same time.
That has to do with sexual stuff and things like that. They know it's important, and it's an important aspect of a woman's life. That's why the whole children thing, no matter where you sit on that, is a contentious issue. Both men and women have different opinions on, oh, well, you should have kids young, women, and the women will screech at you and be like, I'll be fine with my cats. Or you have women that are like, yeah, I should. That's my sole purpose in life. All of that revolves around sex and sexuality and things like that, and women know that. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
It can be used for good, like building a family and things like that. But it can also be used for, the media told me I need to care about the Ukraine. I'm going to take my top off and paint a Ukrainian flag on my chest. And you're going to look at me because my boobies are out.
Yeah.
Like, it can be used for evil and good.
Yeah,
It's not inherently evil or inherently good. And that's why you still see feminists talking about it, even though it seems to not make sense, because you're like, well, don't they want to be respected and viewed as human beings and not just what they are? Yeah, but like I said, on a subconscious level, they know, okay, yeah, they could have just stood out there in t-shirts that said, we stand with Ukraine. But then we would all just kind of go, oh, look, another stupid protest. You see the boobs and you're like, wait a minute, what is going on here? We need to take a look at this, whether it's, oh, look at this, or what the heck is this?
Yeah. Wait a second, I need to go look at those titties.
Feminists know that. There was a protest. I think it was a bunch of vegans. Vegan feminists, and they like got completely naked and like were dumping cow blood and stuff on them and rolling around in it for attention, to like bring attention to the animals suffering and things like that. We've seen this for decades, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, even during the sexual revolution, they were taking their bras off and swinging
and burning them.
At the protests, like, woo!
I
mean, it's always been a thing among feminists and everybody else. So, I mean, and I don't think, you can't tell me, I'm sorry, I know they like to say, it's not for attention. It's like, you're taking your top off and putting a statement on your boobs.
Yeah,
it is for attention. You cannot tell me that is not for more attention. In fact, it's actually a great marketing scheme, like just purely looking at it from not a moral basis. It's a great marketing scheme. Sex sells. If there's a hot girl, look at the stupid, God, I don't even know if they do those anymore because they're so sexist now, probably. The Carl's Jr. commercials with, like, the girls in the little shorts and, like, I'm eating this hamburger, and you're like, is this to sell hamburgers?
Well, Adidas even did that, and I don't even know if I can find an uncensored version. Oh, I found the uncensored version.
They did the screens of all the boobs.
Yep, right here.
You're like, what does this have to do with Adidas? Like, I'm so confused.
Yeah, it's the reasons we didn't make just one new sports bra, and there's all the tits.
It's like, why couldn't you just show a bunch of different body types of women?
Right. There's also only like one or two good sets of tits in that entire ad, so I don't know why they picked what they picked, but
I will say, the only reason I appreciate these protests is the more that I see other people's, I'm like, I'm not doing so bad, I guess, because there's some weird looking boobs out there. There are.
True.
There's some weird looking people.
Yeah, no, you're not
These
right.
ads that they're picking.
Oh my god. Ceelows, what do you think about this boob stuff? You like boobs?
It's great and all. It's just like,
it's great. You're like, oh wow.
Yeah, it's just the thing of like, cause like, so it's like right now, like my younger sister, she just started college. And
Yeah.
Like, I always have these conversations with her to try to steer her away from the direction that all her friends are going to, because my family is like pretty, like I come from a pretty like conservative background and whatnot, and like I try to tell my younger sister like, all your friends when you go to college, they're gonna all try to stray you away from everything you've learned growing up. Like they're gonna all be in hot girl summer. They're all gonna like start Instagram. Like this is what is going to happen. I can't stop it. You can't stop it. You just got to be aware of it. About everything you believe about the world, they're going to try to steer you in their direction. And I'm going to tell you right now, 20 years from now, you might regret it if you go that way. So like, I'm constantly like trying to like keep her on the route that my dad has really brought her up like as she's grown up and whatnot. Because the whole thing with feminism, it's largely like 40, 50 years of propaganda to sell products to women. I mean, largely it's just like, it's started by people who just have always have ill intent. I mean, the founders of feminism were largely like fucking crazy people. Like if you look into like who created a lot of these ideas that leftists believe, they're all lunatics. Like Karl Marx was a fucking lunatic. Like all these people are crazy. It's like we shouldn't listen to these people, but it's largely succeeded because they promise nice things and they tell you nice things when you're younger. You don't know any better. And that goes into the whole like parenting issue when a lot of these women are younger, but it's like 60 years later we see what the results of this. Obviously this is a mistake. I don't really know how you want to do it now besides like kind of getting talking to your family and whatnot, younger people in your family and Gen Zers. But I think it's like this is kind of here to stay. It's just when is it going to implode on itself?
I mean, I'm seeing a shift of younger women starting to realize that it's all a scam quite a little bit. Like
I'm seeing that too somewhat,
like the whole, like, I mean, and I don't know, like, I like a lot of it is like tongue in cheek, right? You get like the women like posting things like, why did these bitches fight for the right to work? I hate this shit kind of stuff, and like, I get that too. Cause it's like, even my lady too, she's like, dude, like she works, as a massage therapist, and like, I'm basically putting myself in a position where like I've been be making more money and things like that, so she doesn't have to do that, and she's like very stoked on that, because it's like I personally think a lot of women don't actually want to work. I don't know, Mackenzie, if you think that that's right, but
I don't work. I'm a NEET.
Right. See, there you go.
I quit my job.
Oh yeah, you did have a job for a second, right?
I did. I had a job up until early 2020.
Yeah, okay.
I've had all kinds of jobs. I've been a waitress.
Okay, for
nothing
sure.
like my degree. I dropped out of college, so it was nothing like, it wasn't like a corporate, I make Excel spreadsheets.
Yeah.
This is not important.
That's what I do. Sucks.
Yeah, no, it was nothing like that. But the last job I had was my first office job. It wasn't like a corporation, but I was basically like a glorified like data entry person for a company, and it was miserable. I worked there for like 3 years, and first of all, my eyesight is just much worse staring at a computer. 8 hours,
for sure,
3 times a week. It was part-time, but it's just not fun. There's other things that you can be doing, and I think that most women have a sense that they don't want to do it, but they're also told if they don't. Right. And I actually have a lot of friends like me that don't have jobs, or if they do, they're like a part-time. Like my friend that works at a bakery only works there a couple days a week, just because she feels like, well, we don't have kids yet. So I do feel like I should maybe contribute something. And then, but think about that. The fact that she feels like, and me too, for quite a while, I still felt like, well, I have to contribute something to the household.
Yeah.
Still, and some women still feel like that even when they have kids. Like you have a little human being that you can raise, or multiple, and they still feel like, oh, well, I need to do something important. My husband makes fun of me. It's been a big transition in kind of my worldview thinking. I never called myself a feminist, but there was definitely some of the propaganda that just kind of seeped in over the years.
For sure.
Yeah.
Definitely, because it's so insidious. They tell you, oh, you need to be empowered and do all these things, and that sounds great.
Yeah.
Who is that gonna? Even for a lot of men are like, yeah, sure, you go, girl, sure, as long as you're not hating on me. If you want to do you, fine. And I think for a lot of guys, they're just like, hey, whatever, just do your silly woman stuff. Whatever.
Yeah.
But a lot of women, I used to say things like, well, I just want to do something important with my life. And I was a religion major in college. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like, oh, I'll be a professor and I'll teach kids and that'll be important. Now, a lot of women go into teaching and nursing, which involves children. It's like, you can just make those, right? And then you can do that at home. You don't have to get a degree.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
which is essentially the thing that I came to was, why don't I just make a few and then I can stay home and teach kids things and not have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Hey, what the heck?
Being noisy?
Yeah, noisy. But I eventually reached the point where what is more important than having a family? Like realistically.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And even a lot of men feel that way. This isn't like a sexist, like women are just straight. No, a lot of guys hit the point. They get into their 30s and they're like, okay, I'm ready. Like I need to find a girl, have a family, have a few kids, get a house, and settle down. It's not sexist at all. It's just
you just described my life. You just described my life.
That happens to a lot of people. It's not even just a female thing. I think for a lot of women, it starts to happen to us a little bit younger, like in our early to mid 20s. But we feel like, oh, well, if I even so for context of where I'm coming from, my mom was a stay-at-home mom. She did run a business out of the house. She ran a daycare out of our house for kind of family friends that had to go to work and would pay to have her watch their kids. But she was a stay-at-home mom. And when I told her, yeah, I'm gonna quit my job, my husband's gonna, he's gonna work. He makes plenty of money. There's no reason for me to get a job other than my own ego because I need to feel like I'm doing something at that point. And she was like, well, what do you mean? Well, you have to have a safety net. Blah, 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 blah. I go, do you understand what you're saying? I'm like, is that why you worked as a daycare provider? Because you were worried dad was gonna leave you? Like, do you understand what you're saying? It's like they don't hear the way it sounds when it's coming out of their mouth.
Yeah.
But it sounds crazy. It sounds like you're telling women you can't depend on anyone ever.
Right.
Even though most of us, though I guess I can't say most of us, it's getting a little unique now to have two parents.
Right.
But a lot of us watched perfectly good parents work together. They might have worked, but a lot of moms, everybody has like a caring, nice mom a lot of the times. And you watch how nurturing your mom is. And my mom was obviously a great mom and wanted to go to all our sporting events. And you just think, well, why wouldn't you want to do that?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is, I am someone I dropped out of college after 5 years. So completely, not only do I not have a degree, but I was in debt, obviously.
Yeah.
I went to 3 different colleges.
Oh, dang.
And now I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom. That is stupid. If your goal is to be a stay-at-home mom, go somewhere, be a waitress like I did, or build a skill, learn a trade or something. Go to like a 2-year trade school or a community college, and then kind of see where you're at. There's no reason, and honestly, same advice for dudes. Like, figure out what you want to do. Don't just jump into like, well, I need to do this because I need to feel important. No, you don't. It's a psyop. There's other options, especially for girls, because I feel like girls feel a lot more pressure when it comes to what, you want to stay home? And they kind of like, you don't want to be a girl boss? What are you talking about? It's like, are you implying that my mom, who ran a daycare out of my house and raised 2 awesome kids, was not a girl boss? It's like, I hate to use their language, but like, is there anything more like, wow, look at that lady? You see her like lugging 4 or 5 kids around the grocery store. You're like, damn, she's got it together. I don't think I could do that.
Yeah, right.
Like, but they make you think it's one or the other. You can't have, you can, or they say you can have it all.
Right, yeah.
You can do everything. And then one of the most sad things that I see Facebook posts of moms being like, yeah, I had to leave my six-week-old at home and I'm really going to be depressed about it, but it's just what I have to do. It's like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
Like, make it work. Like, my dad
figure
worked
it
3
out.
jobs. So my mom could stay home because he didn't want his kids to not have parents at sporting events and everything like that. Like, I'm not gonna say it's gonna be fun, but
Right.
if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it.
Right. Well, so that's,
You
I mean,
really
that's the plan that we have, right? Like right now, my lady's working, right? She went and got like a massage therapy license so she could like, you know, do something more than like work at retail, which was what she was doing before. But like,
Yeah,
we talk about
retail
this all the time.
sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. But we talk
now
about this
she's
all the
got a
time.
skill, too,
Yeah,
so-
exactly. And it could be like, you know, private practice type of thing too, like where we could like, so, but you know, we talk about that all the time, whereas it's like once we like, you know, start, because I'm actually in the process of getting a degree right now and I'm almost done with it.
Cool.
And because I figured out in my like early 30s like what I actually wanted to do, right?
Yeah.
But when I'm done with that, then we're gonna start doing the whole having kids thing, and you know, it's like she's gonna be at home, and that happens. Like we've talked about this, and we're gonna be doing homeschooling and all this kind of stuff. But it's like, you know, I think it's so funny because what you were saying about like women being like, oh, like you don't want to like stay at home. Like even when like we moved up here together to Washington from California, and like when we got here, I remember my lady was talking to like her sister about like what our plans were and like how like at the time like for like the first like 2 years or year and a half that we were up here, like she wasn't working at all, right? And like she was like going to school and all this kind of stuff. And I remember she was talking to her sister and she's like, yeah, no, he's, you know, buying, you know, the house and paying for, you know, all the things. And her sister goes like, oh, well, I guess if you don't want to be independent. And she's just like, what do you mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like that. It's so crazy because it's like,
you're just a dumb, like she's a dumb, stupid woman. And she just needs someone to tell her that's not okay.
Right.
Like it was so funny, like coming from my mom, because my mom knows I'm extremely stubborn. My mom has always said, you don't do anything you don't want to do. And I'm like, yep, you're correct. That is correct. And I'm like, you knowing I'm that kind of person, you know, if I didn't want to do that and had made the decision myself, I wouldn't do it.
Right.
Like, and those are the kind of people that tell you, girl, you have agency, you can do whatever you want to do. And you're like, okay.
Except for that.
My husband is paying for everything, and while I go to school, and then this, and they go, okay, accept that.
Yeah, accept
That's
that. You
not
can't
cool.
do that. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
This doesn't make sense. Like when you tell people you're like a housewife or a homemaker is like a better term, because you say housewife and people think like trophy wife, which I'm like, what's wrong with that? But
hey,
you say that and people are like, especially since I've quit my job, when I'm like at the doctor and stuff, and they'll be like, so what do you do for work? Do you still work here? I'm like, oh no, I don't work retail anymore. I'm a housewife. I'm going to be a homemaker. And they just kind of look at you and you're like, why are you looking at me weird? This is a normal thing.
Yeah, right,
It's become weird for women to take care of kids in their house instead of outside their house. I'm so confused.
Well, and pay for other people to take care of them and send them to indoctrination camps and all this stuff.
My mom ran a daycare.
Yeah.
And made very good money doing it, because not only did she run a daycare, but she ran one in a house where she was a mom taking care of her kids, and people paid primo to have a housewife take care of
for sure. Yeah.
So it's so much money. It's like I got a friend down in Oklahoma paying like $1,200 for her daughter to go to daycare. I'm like, you're a hairdresser. Just quit your job. That's got to be more than you're making a month. There's no way you're making that much. And she's like, yeah, it's like I make like she's making like a part-time job's wages after daycare.
Oh,
like,
no.
What are you doing? Just find like $500 more a month. You're fine.
Yeah. Well, this is the crazy thing too, is it's like they make it sound like, you know what I mean? It's like, what do you want? You need to have a backup plan. Like, I don't know. It's very strange. Like,
I'll go get a job at Walmart if things go south. Like, what are you doing? What
but
do you
also,
need a backup plan? Like,
but also like, shouldn't you, like, you were talking about how women are the gatekeepers to like sex and stuff and all of that. Shouldn't women be more choosy about who they decide to bang and cohabitate with? I mean, like, am I wrong? Like, it's like,
I was actually gonna touch on that because the thing is, like, the backup plan is usually out of frustration with experiences with the guys that they usually date, and it's like, I don't think feminists usually care about what men want, so they end up like, so a lot of the men that they date end up like ending the relationship or just kind of messing around with them and just like going with another girl because and the girl's like, I don't understand, like, why did he leave? And like, they don't really take the time to understand men are very simple. Like, there's like maybe like 3 standards most of us has. It's just like, give us peace, be attractive, and like that's kind of it. It's very few. It's very few. Like, there's not many reasons for a guy to leave a relationship. Like, most guys will stay in a relationship for the rest of their life if it's chill and like peaceful. I don't think like feminists really understand. They don't really care to understand because they're so busy with like their, with their propaganda campaign. It's like they don't understand that like the way they're acting is the reason why they have failing relationships. So you don't need the backup plan if you just throw a shit out the window.
I think part of it is that. Go ahead, Kenzie.
If
you go
you're
first.
at a point, if there was ever a point in my relationship, so we've been together, my husband and I, since we were 18.
Mm-hmm.
We met we started dating the last month of high school. So we all have been together a decade in May.
Nice, congrats.
Literally a decade.
That's awesome.
We'll be married for 3 years in October. If there had ever been a point in my relationship at all, even before we had a house together, where I thought, maybe I need a backup plan, we wouldn't be together.
Right, exactly. Right.
Pretty much.
Right.
That you think
Pretty much.
you need a backup. That's why when my mom said that, I was like, Mom, you got something to tell me?
Yeah, like for real.
Why are you
like
saying that? Like, why would you say it? And I get she was just being concerned and whatever. But it's like, okay, one, you have to trust me to pick a better person than that. That's just gonna like go get cigarettes and not come back one day or something. Like, what do you think is gonna happen? Like, I'm confused. But also, if you're comfortable, and I do think it's a sign that a woman's not comfortable in a relationship, if in the back of your mind you're thinking, dang, like, I want to be a mom and all this, but like, what if I need something on the side? Sometimes for women, they just feel like they want to contribute something. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, a lot of women run like jewelry and stuff like out of their house. Like, I get that. You just want to do something creative with your time and make more money. I get that. But if the sole purpose of that is, well, I just need to put a little money away in a separate bank account just in case. You need to get out. And I'm not, like, I don't care what kind of situation you're in. Like, you should not. Can you imagine? Also, I know it's stupid to flip the genders because no one cares about dudes, but like, can you imagine if that's what dudes did? If they were like, honey, I hope you think it's okay. I do have this separate bank account with some money in it just in case you decide to get all our money out of our bank account and run away one day. Oh my God.
I think nowadays,
so insulted.
I think nowadays men should do that.
I don't love you. Oh my God. Like, they would throw a giant fit, but no one cares because.
No, I think men should do that though, and I think a lot of them do. No, especially now. No, I'm being 100% serious. Like, I think that men should do that because statistically, it's more likely that she's gonna leave anyway. Like,
I mean, women initiate. I think it's 80%.
Right,
it might be
something like that. Yeah,
it's higher with women who have college degrees, like 90%. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's what's funny. It's like, okay, you're telling women they need a backup plan. What? Because they're gonna divorce him?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. No, exactly.
Like Ceelows was saying.
Yeah.
Just like feed him and don't deprive him
No,
of sex.
100%.
Like,
100%.
I know guys in like terrible relationships, like their girlfriends are bitchy, they're very like rude to them, they give them something, I don't know what it is, I don't know if the guys just have low self-esteem or what, and that's like a bad relationship, and guys are just like, okay, but we've been dating for a while, so guys are just not that. I mean, women really aren't that complicated either, but guys are not that complicated. Like,
well, it's also because a lot of guys don't know, like, if they've been in a relationship for a really long time, they also lose the ability to like talk to women, and like they don't really understand like how to like get back into it. Right. It's the scarcity complex essentially, right?
I know, like women, all women know if something happens, you can just get on Tinder and like
for sure.
80 matches.
Yeah.
A lot of guys are in that like scarcity mindset, like, oh my God, like we've been dating for a year and a half. If this chick leaves me, I've been out of the game for a year and a half. I don't know, especially if you're like in a marriage, if you're like in your 30s and 40s and you haven't been in the dating game in like 15, 20 years, if a girl leaves you, you're going to be like, oh my God, like, do I have to get with women my age? Is it okay to date younger? Like, there's all this stuff. Women are just like, oh, I know I'll find somebody.
Yeah, right.
I might not be the optimal person, but someone will take care of me. Like, and that's the other thing. Women are like, I need a backup plan. I'm like, there are dudes out here supporting single moms with 4 kids. You'll find someone.
Yeah.
You could probably find a dude at a bar and con him into giving you a place to stay.
Right.
Not recommending 100%. That's immoral. But like,
no, but it would be pretty easy.
Guys just do that. Like, they shouldn't, but they do.
No, absolutely.
I've seen that happen.
Yeah, I mean, like you even said earlier, Ceelows, you were like, yeah. I mean, they don't even have to be cute. I mean, it's true. Like, it's like the reality is too. Is it's like I think a lot of women, they look at this and they go, oh, I need a backup plan just in case, because in the back of their mind they think guys think that the way that they do about relationships, right?
They don't.
And no, we don't. Like, Like, again,
that is true.
Give us peace, give us food, give us sex. That's it. That's literally all we need.
That's the thing. Like, there's a saying on like Red Pill Twitter, like relationships are for women. They're not for men. That doesn't mean men don't want to be in them.
Yeah.
But men don't want to worry about the relationship.
Yeah, right.
They want you to do your thing, make it interesting with them. That's it. They
Yeah,
don't worry about, like, when are we going on the next date night? Like,
yeah, right.
You don't care. Like, most dudes just don't care.
No, that's a fact.
That's a woman thing. Like,
that's a fact.
And it's fine.
It's true.
It's fine, but...
No, that's a fact. With my lady, like...
For women.
Yeah, no, with my lady, like, we have a date day once a week, and we do, like, no screens, and we, like, go and hang out with each other, and, like, whatever. And I'll take her to, breakfast or dinner or whatever it is. And, like, that's not something... That wasn't the thing that I needed, right?
No.
Like, you know what I mean? It makes her happy, and that's great, so we do it. But it's like... I wouldn't if she didn't need that. Like, would I be doing that?
Like,
like,
to her and be like, babe, I really need 1 day a week.
Yeah.
I've done stuff like that too.
Yeah,
absolutely. Like every once in a while, I'm just like, we should go out to dinner.
Right, exactly. Like, it's always the woman's suggestion. It's always the woman's suggestion, and it's not that I don't like it. I do. It's fun, but it's like I'm happy, like building my video games and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hanging out, reading my books or whatever it is that I got to do. You know what I mean? So it's like, there's that meme, and it's like, it's an old CRT TV and like a Super Nintendo in like a barren room with a chair.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, guys be living like this. Yeah. Guys be living like this and see no problem. It's like, yeah, absolutely. Like, you should have seen, okay, I think the last time we did this, I hadn't bought this house yet. I was at like my first apartment here in Washington. And you should have seen that place. Like, it was literally like bare because she wasn't.
Pad?
Yeah, no, well, she wasn't. She came up like a month after me, and it was literally like I had like my mattress on the floor. I was just like hanging out. Like I had like my computer like on the kitchen, like the island, and like she got there and she was like, "Are you really doing this? Like really?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's wrong with this?" Like, literally, I had so reverted because I hadn't lived with her in a month. You know what I mean? So it's like...
People will say things like, why does the woman have to take care of the house? And it's like, have you seen single bachelor's apartments?
Right.
Like, no shame to dudes at all. They just live simpler. And
exactly.
Fine.
Right.
Like,
space
look at this guy. Yeah.
That's how we live. It's just what it is. Women are like this.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we're supposed to be the nesters, and we take like, oh, you need to hang some stuff on the wall. This is it.
Yeah.
Like, it's so funny.
Yeah. Oh,
when
man.
I first moved in, I wasn't doing that yet. I wasn't like, or like doing any of that stuff. And my mom came over and she's like, you need to hang things on our walls. What is wrong with you?
Yeah. Oh, wow.
This is weird. Why are you not decorating? And I was like, I don't know. We just got the house. Like, I'm not like, I live with we both live with our parents till we got married.
Yeah.
So we never had an apartment to like decorate and stuff. I'm like, am I really? I gotta hang things.
Yeah.
Thing? I don't. I've got some Gundams on my shelf. Like that's not cool.
I never did that. I never put anything on my walls. Like ever.
I wasn't crazy about it either.
Like you got that one? Is that a Doom poster back there?
Yeah, someone gifted this to me for my birthday on my stream.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have it.
I was like, all right, I guess I'll hang it up.
Cool.
Now, yeah, that's it. But
yeah, man.
It's funny. People have these weird perceptions of men and women and like who actually cares about relationships and like how guys are secretly complicated. It's like no, they're
not really.
It's because they think we're equal.
Well, yeah, that's a big role.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
they think
that's
we're
true.
Equal. We're not equal. We're very different. Very
different. Yeah.
Like completely,
we're complementary.
Complementary. Yeah.
Equal, we're complementary.
Exactly.
Like, women are supposed to, I shouldn't even say supposed to. Like, you see women, like, you were talking about all the feminists being like, I don't want to go off to war. What the heck? And all these TikToks, like, I don't want to work. Why did they?
Yeah. Right.
And we're seeing that with the war now. Women are being like, oh, here I am cooking in the kitchen, dusting. I war. I have to take care of the house. And it's like, I know a lot of those are joking, but it's like, are they really?
Yeah, no, they're not.
They're not.
What is it? 75% of truth.
There's a little bit of truth in the jokes, for sure.
75% of truth is said in jest. I think that's the quote, right? Something like that.
I believe it.
Yeah. Okay. So we've been on this one for a while, but I want to talk to you about this. Complete, huge tangent, hard segue, back into stupid COVID nonsense really quick. I know it's annoying, but we got to talk about COVID because nobody else is talking about COVID for some reason. Anyway, so
it doesn't exist anymore. It's defeated.
Yeah, so here in Washington, it disappears on the 12th. It's just gone. It's just gone on the 12th.
Is that when they're dropping stuff?
Yeah. It's all gone. But so we got to go into a little bit of video game stuff because we technically are a video game podcast. We haven't really talked about that yet. We talked a little bit about Nintendo taking away Advance Wars because of the whole Russia thing, which I still think is about sales more than anything else. I'm just going to say that. I think that they just think that war is not going to sell the game. Right. Yeah. And people are like, oh, that's so compassionate. I'm like, no, they care about your money. But EVO 2022, do you know what EVO is, Mackenzie?
I have no idea what EVO is.
Okay, so EVO is a fighting game tournament that happens once a year in Las Vegas, Nevada. Ceelows and I have both been. And it used to be cool until it got bought by Sony, apparently, because...
Oh, no.
Right. So they just released regulations for this year saying that they're still going to be requiring masks and vaccines of all of their attendees. So I'm not going to that.
There's a little bit of if you read more on it.
Okay.
They require a vaccine or a 48-hour negative COVID test bullshit. They're doing that.
Okay.
So essentially, I could go, but it's one of those things where, because this is the thing, like I have this is an event I went to from 2017 to 2019 every year with like a big group of friends. It was always like the thing I always looked forward to.
Yeah, right.
And when I found out it was coming back, I'm just like, all right, I'm going to wait to see what they require. And I see this, I'm just like, fuck. I mean, it's like I have an in, but it's like I got to wear that stupid fucking, like,
I
don't know, man.
Face hugger.
Yeah.
Man,
I'm not going.
I'm disappointed because in New York they lifted it, right? On the 7th or whatever. So I thought like, okay, they're gonna lead the way for all the crazy cities to lift it. So then maybe Sony will see that, and I don't know. I guess I try to put two and two together, but I happen to be wrong because Nevada has no restrictions like that. It's just them doing it for their event. This is not like a Nevada requirement. They're just doing it. And you know what's interesting? Out here in Fargo, like North Dakota's a pretty base state. Like it's largely very conservative, and there is a fighting game community like 20-minute drive from me. Yeah. And they require vaccine cards.
Right.
They're doing it on their own fruition.
Right.
And so I had people on my stream like, "What's the FGC like there?" I'm just like, I'm never gonna know.
Yeah.
Because I can't fucking go in there.
The fighting game community is full of people who have been scared shitless. I mean, I think a lot of video gamers in general are like very weird lefty, I don't even know if I just call them leftists, but it's just weird propaganda, like buckets, like their brains are just like full. It's like that meme of like the Wojak with like the Preston brain. Like literally everybody in the FGC is like that. And like, yeah, like you were saying, it's like, it's crazy because they don't have to do this per any state law or anything like that. They're doing this on their own, even here. So where I live in Eastern Washington. It's pretty based over here too. Like the FGC in Pullman, which is pretty close to me, does the same thing. They require people to have like jabs and cards and masks and all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm just never going to go to locals ever because like I can't do that. And the reason I bring this up is because you're in the cosplay community. I'm wondering like how is that kind of stuff still happening in like your circles?
There's some conventions. Here's what I've noticed. The smaller conventions seem to be less likely to do that.
Okay.
The mid-sized to large conventions, even where I am, what's crazy about where I am, I'm in the Midwest. Mm-hmm. We didn't have lockdowns. In the city that I'm closest to, there was a full lockdown and they were freaks about it. Mm-hmm. But out here in Midwest, like suburbs to rural, nobody cared. Like, yeah, you'll see people wearing masks voluntarily in stores sometimes. And for a little bit right at the beginning, a bunch of stores required it. Mm-hmm. But like, we haven't been wearing masks here for like 2 years.
Yeah,
it was like for half a year, people were really nuts about it. And then I just started going in places without masks and no one says anything to you. Yeah. And there's an anime convention that's fairly close to me that gets around like 5,000 or 6,000 people. And they just came out. I've been waiting. I'm like, okay, because last year they were crazy. They made you have jabs and masks no matter what. You had to be like masked and jabbed or have a negative test and wear a mask and all this stuff. Not only are they requiring, so the city, the place where they had the convention center made them do it last year because the convention center didn't want to get sued. I guess they were worried someone would be like, "I got it's your fault," which I kind of understand. But now there's no mandates. No one's making them do anything. They came out and said, "We saw the new CDC regulation saying we don't really need to do masks anymore, and like everybody, it's fine." And they made a post saying, "Yes, we understand the CDC has updated, but we feel," and I'm like, "Oh God, here it comes."
Oh no.
They're making masks. You have to wear masks even if you're vaccinated. You have to be vaccinated, and they do you can get a test thing. But they actually have a little disclaimer saying, "Yeah, but if you're not fully vaccinated, and you have to be fully vaccinated, 3, you have to have the booster too." Like that's what they consider.
So fully is with the booster now.
Fully, yes. According to their policies, that's what fully is
Okay.
now. Which isn't even. I think it just became available to all people, whatever. So some people might not even have that. A lot of people only got like the 2, and they didn't want to get the last one, right? They're like segregating the convention, like some parts of the convention, people who only had a test, like they're gonna have different bands, and people who only had a negative test and are wearing a mask can't go into certain areas of the convention. It's like, so you want me to pay full price for all the days of the convention to see a little bit of the convention, but not all of it because I might get someone sick. But the funnier thing is, last year, some of the bigger cons on the East Coast and stuff did happen anyway, and people still got sick. People that were vaccinated and masked, obviously they can get sick. We know this. But there was all these freak out posts like, if you went to such and such convention, my roommate just tested positive for it. You might want to go get yourself tested.
Oh my God.
Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, so you people know you can still get it with all of that, and you're still doing that. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, you're just a crazoid. But not everywhere. It seems like some people, it's more southern in my state, they don't really care as much.
Yeah.
So I actually might go to a convention in about a month or so, because they didn't make me wear a mask last year, and they're not going to this year either. But it's crazy, and they just eat it up. And somebody pointed out something really interesting to me. They said, I think one, it's a power trip on the organizers, especially people that, I don't know if this is how the fighting game community is, but especially in cosplay circles, the people that run the conventions, they like to just feel important.
Oh yeah.
That's
100%.
their thing.
Yeah.
Like a con chair for a cosplay convention, that's their thing. They're like, I'm con chair of such and such, and
100%.
Like, I'm glad they have a hobby. They feel important. They organize things. That's awesome. But with the COVID stuff, that's just an extra thing they get to be in charge.
Right. 100%.
And so that's why they kind of liked, at least with these like single, or when they have like a board of people running it.
Yep.
I don't know about, maybe if Sony runs it, might
No,
be for a different reason.
so it's similar in the fighting game community. We had an episode about this like very early on in the podcast where we talked, because they did something where now there's like an FGC like code of conduct for like all of like the chapters, I guess, of the FGC. Like every TO has to like adhere to this like code of conduct that like was it Ultra David put it together, right? Ceelows or something like that.
Yeah, and this guy Ultra David is like
he's awful.
Communist.
Yeah,
he's fucking awful. And like, but he's like worship in the community because he's this lawyer.
Yeah,
and like he knows all these things about law, and he puts this is for any organizer to adapt, and you know, and if they don't feel like making their own rules, they can just take this one, and you look at it, and it's crazy the shit that they require. It's like even the kind of language you use. So like you can't really like shout and scream when people win, which is like part of the scene. It's kind of like how we get excited about games.
The fun of it, like
yeah, pretty much.
No trash talking. No trash talking. It's not allowed. It bothers people pretty so much. That it triggers people. Dude, the fighting game community has gotten so soft. It's ridiculous. Especially because in a fighting game, you even said this. You don't even play fighting games, and your reaction was in a fighting game. So in a fighting game, you have
as a kid, like we have this Ninja Turtle one we would play.
Yeah,
that's part of it. While you're playing, like talk to each other, like, oh yeah, you better move. You know?
Right. Well, also, in order to like get to the level, it's like even if you even want to go to a tournament, let's not even say that you want to be like super high level, right? If you want to go to a tournament and compete at all, you have to be some level of mental fortitude in order to like A, get better, and B, take losses. So if somebody is beating you, right?
Yeah.
So trying to say to people that they can't like, talk shit on people. I mean, we did this one episode where we watched the entire, like, Vice documentary about the fighting in community, and they were mad because people were, like, talking crap on each other, like, being like, oh, no more white dudes, or some crap like that, or, like, no more black people here, ha ha ha, like, we were just, like, laughing at each other, and that's what I used to go to tournaments and just, like, crack on people all the time, and, like, for all types of immutable characteristics, but no, you can't do that now, because it's insensitive.
I don't know how true this is, but myself and a lot of people, I feel like, we assume the fighting game community has a lot of black people.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. It's mostly blacks and Asians.
They love Smash Bro. Any fighting game.
Yeah.
They just love it, which is fine. But like, also part of that culture is like talking Smash.
Right. Exactly. Right.
Like,
yeah.
That culture too. So like, it's hilarious that they're so soft and they're like, no.
It's mostly blacks and Asians. You're right.
Oh, Asians, yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that too.
Yeah.
Somebody responded to my tweet about the convention. I sent out a tweet about it, and I said, I know exactly why. It's because even if people really don't want to put in these restrictions, they're worried about the community backlash if they don't put in restrictions.
Right.
So they're worried about the people. They're going to go, why don't you have these restrictions? Blah, 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 blah. And that's what they're really worried about. They don't actually care. They're just worried about potential backlash from it. But the stupid thing is, so the convention this year that's doing this, last year, it usually has 5,000 to 6,000 people. It's getting too big for the convention center it's in, actually. They really should have moved it. But they had, like, below 40% attendance last year with all the regulations. Now, I'm sure part of that was people too scared to even go. So we can account for that. But still, we could, like, say attendance, I bet, was down by at least 20%, which is huge for that's a mid-sized convention. It's not huge. Mm-hmm. So, if 5,000 people come, you get, like, 3,000 something. That's a huge loss of revenue and stuff like that. For vendors, for anybody that goes, I'm like, you people are just fine. Just go out of business.
Yeah, they're just throwing away money. Yeah.
My husband plays Yu-Gi-Oh, the card game.
Oh, okay. Like the Duel Masters or like the real one?
No, like the actual card
game. Oh,
game.
Dang. He's a real nerd. I love it.
Yeah. So, well, they haven't been to events in a while because they were requiring stuff.
Yeah.
But there was supposed to be an event. Actually, one of our friends is coming in town from Ohio to come to this regional. It's basically like a smaller tournament. And the guy that runs it canceled it. Like, Konami, the company that runs stuff, they said, we're not requiring restrictions unless you go to nationals. Regionals, you do your thing. You're in charge of your events. The guy canceled it. And it's the 25th, I think, and it's the 9th, and they canceled it last week. So, like, the month that the tournament started, our friend bought a plane ticket. He's just going to come here anyway and hang out.
Wait, so it's supposed to be today? You're saying it's supposed to be today?
It was supposed to be at the end of this month.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you said the 9th. Okay.
In this.
Okay.
In
this
month.
Yeah.
The month that the tournament was supposed to happen, they're like, "Oh, just kidding. Sorry if you bought plane flights." And we asked, and it's not the company. It's this single guy. His store that runs the tournament is apparently such a freak about COVID that he doesn't even open his store half the time, and he's just been he was always making people wear masks even now and things like that, and he's just decided to cancel it, which is unfortunate because people drive around to these regionals because how it works is you can get your invite to nationals. I don't know how
it's the same thing. Yeah, we have like NorCal we have regionals depending on region stuff.
Around to these to get their invite so they can go to the big tournament. And now I'm sure there's other people who bought plane tickets or were planning to come up here and took off work, and now they're just screwed at that time because some guy's still a freak about it. Now, like maybe 2 years ago at the beginning of it, you could justify it. But for now, for even the CDC to come out and be like, yeah, it's fine. Like the masks aren't really working anyway, whatever. And then to still be freaks, it's just, and I know it's just because of the backlash, but it's like, is there even going to be backlash? I just really don't think so.
But even if there is, like, is that worth, like whatever, just be like, yeah, exactly.
It really is. There was so the convention that I went to last year, he posted and said, he made us sign a waiver for last year because they weren't really sure how things were going to work legally. So a lot of cons that didn't do masks were making people just sign a waiver saying, I understand I'm assuming risk by attending this convention, just in case. Which I don't have a problem with signing that.
Yeah.
I did that for field trips in middle school. They need the mom sign stuff, whatever. I'd rather do that than take a test to prove I don't have COVID. So whatever. And Twitter, there was such Twitter outrage, and I felt so bad. And I know the guy, he's just a nice guy. He just wants people to have fun and be able to wear the costumes they want to wear without a mask on. That's it.
Yeah.
He's not some like big old evil Trump supporter and he's a Republican and blah, blah, blah. Nope. He literally was just like, you're assuming risk. Everybody have fun. That's all I want.
Yeah.
And it was his first year running the anime convention too. Or no, second year. So the anime con that he runs is much tinier. He runs a Comic-Con that's a lot bigger in that area. It's south of me. And I don't think he realized how much different from like old comic fans to like our age anime fans are.
Yeah, dude, it's like it's bugging, man. It's bugging over there.
It's so like disappointing because it's like I think this is the future. Because the thing with the fighting game scene is like it's a lot more niche and a lot of other like gaming scenes and whatnot. So like the thing about like I said, like I told you earlier, it's like these people have taken over. I don't know if it's. I don't know if we can change it at this point. I think it's kind of the way it is because the guy who was running Evo is the guy who's running Combo Breaker, and that guy's a staunch leftist. I forgot his name, but I mean, like, I don't know how we come back from this. And this is where we started our podcast on. Kind of get people to like wake up and like, can we challenge this shit? Like, do we have to always listen to these people who are the authority of all fighting game events? Is this what it is now? We just like give them authority for everything, and I don't know if it's worth challenging anymore. At this point, I'm kind of just adapting to the idea of like I think I may just end up just playing fighting games online.
Yeah, that's
videos and that's it. Because
that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah,
I don't know how to. If we come back from this, fortunately.
Hey, I'm having a blast playing King of Fighters 15 online, and I'm getting up my rank, so it's fine. It's fine.
I may just
So okay, so yeah, we went a little bit long. We talked about a bunch of stuff. It's like been an hour and a half. I guess we're making up for the fact that we didn't have an episode for the past like 2 weeks. So before we jump off, Kenzie, let them know where they can find you, all of that good stuff, and you to promote whatever you got to promote, and then we can wrap it up.
Yeah, so I have a website. It's just Kenziepuff.com. So that's super simple, and that links to all of my social media and everything. So they can find all my social media and my links to my cosplay page and my YouTube and everything on there.
Cool, and everybody should follow her. Ceelows, let them know where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitch and YouTube at Ceelows.
All right, and you can find me at youtube.com/MisterBehavior. You can find me on twitch.tv/MrBehavior. And I'm back on Twitter at Behavior Returns. Also, follow the podcast Twitter. It's at AntiOkiPodcast. We don't use it very much, but it's there, so just follow it. And that's it. Kenzie, thank you so much for joining. This is a great conversation. You are welcome back on the podcast literally whenever you want, so we can schedule another one of these whenever you have time. And thanks, y'all. This has been the Anti-Oki Podcast. We'll see you, I guess, when we see you. Peace.
My sonic boom flash kicks are right here waiting for you. Wanna get your ass kicked for your plastic. Your kung fu is weak and mine is chic and spastic. Fantastic. You're not a warrior, you're just a beginner. Get up, whip, and bask in the glory of a winner. My strength is much greater than yours. I'm a street fighting legend, the creator of wars. No use debating the score. I've waited patiently for someone to pound through the ground. I'll smash your face in the floor. Get lost, dog. I'm the boss. You can't compare with my powers. I play this game for the fame. They claim the hundreds of hours.
Listen, it's a tournament edition. Challenging me is just like pissing in the wind. Doing KO since I was one day old. Keep on wishing, man, cause no, you'll never win. Yo, listen, it's a tournament edition. Challenging me is just like pissing in the wind. Doing KO since I was one day old. Keep on wishing, man, cause no, you'll never win. No need to worry, a state of euphoria. I won the tourney twice, now I am the world warrior. Using my kung fu to destroy you. flurry of kicks, which only your performer hard to. Ken's a competitor, write you out like an editor. Stay ahead of the pack, flame attack like a predator. I ain't stretching the truth, my dull Sims the tightest. I'll leave you burnt to a crisp with elephantitis. Need to charge up to bite, scrap attack with Blanca. Yo, I'm warming up my engines when you lose to Honda. There's no doubt my win count will haunt ya. Wanna try and win again? Well, after this you won't want to. Every street fight is better the second time around. I've learned how to throw down, I'm KO bound. Do I punch light or medium? No, I punch hard, because I'm pretty sure I just kicked a boo up a car. Yo, you're looking like vomit, I busted suplex atomic. I fill the room with the boom that sounds supersonic. Tiger flame so feisty, uppercut so nicely. Zagat will brew you up a batch of Mai Tai iced tea. Listen, listen, it's a tournament edition. Challenging me is just like pissing in the wind. Doing KO since I was one day old. Keep on wishing, man, cause no, you'll never win. Yo, listen, listen, it's a tournament edition. Challenging me is just like pissing in the wind. Doing KO since I was one day old. Keep on wishing, man, cause no,